Pope Francis continues his aggressive march of bringing about a union of church and state, but this time his target is once again to the European Union. Remember, that's where it all began. That is what caused the first pilgrim journey to the New World, so that people can be able to escape religious persecution which took place in Europe, led by the Roman Catholic Church. Now, headline reads the following: Europe will be adrift if it loses Christian roots, faith leaders warn. And these faith leaders are led by none other than Pope Francis. This is taken from the Catholic News Agency. Simply, it's been mirrored in this website, dated March 3rd, 2017. First paragraph. In a joint statement, Catholic and Orthodox leaders called Europe to embrace its religious roots in this difficult time for the old continent. Quoted, and I quote, "We believe that Europe needs more than ever the breath of faith in Christ and the hope that it provides," end quote. And it continues, "If you are cut off from your roots, you will come adrift." Moving down the next paragraph, we read the following words. In Paris, Catholic and Orthodox leaders in a joint statement urged Europeans to remember their Christian roots and to return to them during this time of, quote-unquote, widespread concern for the future of Europe. In other words, in order for Europe to be able to hold its ground or to hold itself together, they must go back to their Christian roots. That is what they are promoting here. Next, we go on to read saying, our societies are turning to their spiritual resources to draw out means of responding to the situation that Europe is experiencing and to trace the path ahead for a future full of hope and greater confidence, the leaders said. Now, let's skip a few of these paragraphs. Now, I'm going to read this. Check this out. It says, and I quote, "We believe that Europe needs more than ever the breath of faith in Christ and the hope that it provides," end quote. Christianity is a marker of identity that does not deny others their human rights, but seeks to cooperate with all for the realization of the common good. They focused in particular on the effects that terrorism and extreme secularization have on young people. Often, they noted, radicalized terrorists are distraught young people who see violence as an outlet and as a way to exact revenge on non-believers and, quote-unquote, infidels, whom they've been taught to see as other, and that's in quotations. Going to America magazine, headline reads, Pope Francis sees hope for European Union, urges leaders to return to roots, dated March 24, 2017. This is where Pope Francis was addressing the leaders of 27 European countries. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see this. Now, let me just be upfront with you guys. This is not the first time that Pope Francis is making this appeal. He's pushing this agenda more than ever. He has said that before. But now we can see that it just so happened to be that he is making these appeals on the same year in which Protestantism, after 500 years of Reformation, is finally going to mark its end as of this year. Now let's think about this. Let's consider the Christian roots that Pope Francis is referring to. Because here's the thing. In Europe, long before America was founded, or before the nation of the United States of America came up to become a superpower, the voyagers, the pilgrims, they were in Europe. Why did they escape Europe? Well, they escaped Europe because they were suffering religious persecution. And that religious persecution was carried forth by the Roman Catholic Church. Europe was a religious nation. But now the question is, what exactly made it religious? Well, the answer is simple. The Vatican, the Roman Catholic Church. And if you look at the Roman Catholic Church closely, what you see is a power structure which is not just religious, but it is also political. And so you can see the relationship that the Roman Catholic Church has with the state is its influence impacts state decisions, thus bringing together what is known as a religio-political union, or in simplicity, church and state union. That is what the Christian roots, the quote-unquote Christian roots of Europe symbolizes. And that is what Pope Francis and the other Orthodox leaders are trying to push for, a union of church and state. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see the evidence is right in front of you. We are seeing the signs of the march towards a national Sunday law. You can deny this all you want, but what we are seeing are all signs are pointing to church and state. Many of you will deny it and say it will never happen, but this is something that's going to happen once again. There is nothing new that happens under the sun. That which is happening today has already happened before in the past. What is to come tomorrow in the future, that is simply a reflection of that which took place once again in the past. So if you think that things are going to continue like this for the next decade, for the next 2 decades, without us witnessing a union of church and state, keep dreaming. Governments do not last forever. Do you honestly think that the current systems of governance are going to remain like this? No. With all the worldwide instabilities that's taking place, do you honestly think that the leaders are not going to do something to change the way things are being governed? Pope Francis keeps slamming the news, keeps slamming the leaders, keeps slamming the United Nations, that the reason why things are happening the way they are, the reason why we have lots of terrorism, the reason why we have this and that, immorality, it's because we don't have God at the center of our governments. That's what Pope Francis is pushing. And because his authority is recognized by all the leaders around the world, guess what? His voice is much powerful than any other leader, because he actually has leaders within the government of all governments in the world. It's how the Jesuits run things. The Jesuits are everywhere, in every single government. They own the government. Anyone who doubts anything that I'm saying right now, just ask yourself the question: why is it that no other religious leader has the authority to be able to speak before all world leaders and have their voice obeyed more than the Pope? Because what the papacy says, the world leaders, they obey. You got to think about it. He is the only religious leader who can be able to speak before the nations of the world, before the leaders of the world, and the leaders obey his voice. Why? It's because he is both the head of a religious and a political government. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Controversy 7. Thank you for tuning in and for joining me. If this is your first time tuning in, be sure to subscribe. There's a lot of information coming across your way. Feel free to join me on Facebook. My links are in the video description box. I'm not going to hold you off. You take care of yourselves, you be safe, and I'll see you guys next time.